Let's get a quick take on construction on the I-70 expansion project beginning this summer after a U.S. district judge decided against an effort to pause the plan over environmental concerns. Meanwhile, the city of Denver is embarking on a $290 million study to assess potential flooding in the Globeville area. Natasha Gardner bringing unusual insight to that chair. Articles editor from 5280. Are we going to see construction starting this summer?
Well, if we do, this project will have the disadvantage of having already taken so long to start that people will already be sick of construction before it even begins. I do think that the flooding study is interesting. I mean, you don't really have to study this to know that Globeville gets flooded. It's been flooded as long as it's existed. This is a major part of its history. But knowing how some of the recent improvements that have been done in the last 20 and even 50 years are holding up or not will be important for that neighborhood.
David Kopel, DU law professor and Independence Institute guru. You probably have a lot to say about traffic right now.
Yes, I was late because of a jam on I-70, and sadly the express lane was closed, and so I'm clearly a victim on multiple levels. But this is an example of why it takes so long and many fewer things get built these days than did in the middle of the 20th century, is because of all the environmental impact statements and everything else like that. It takes years and years before a project ever uses a shovel. I think Denver did things right. It's a controversial project, and there's good pros and cons on both sides, but I think Denver worked hard to be fully in compliance with the applicable federal laws, and this decision reflects that, so it's going forward.
Eric Sonderman, political consultant. Will this expansion be done in our lifetimes?
I think it'll be done in our lifetimes. There are different lifetime spans probably around this table, but no, it will be done in our lifetimes. Both Natasha and David, with their separate points, were right on the mark. David, in terms of how difficult it is to do anything these days in terms of infrastructure, just because of all the obstacles to overcome, including in our court system. Natasha, with respect to Globeville, I hope this is a sign that it's not just a study, because you don't need a study to show that Globeville is a very vulnerable area to flooding, but that it's a sign that maybe some infrastructure investment is headed to that community, and maybe we should have done a $10 million study and have $280 million out of the $290 million still available for investment, but hopefully money will flow.
And batting cleanup, Joey Bunch, bon vivant, senior political writer for ColoradoPolitics.com. You're a road warrior. What do you think of these projects?
Well, on one hand, there's nothing new about this. As Dave says, these projects always take a long time to happen. On the other hand, it's very uniquely Colorado. For 100 years, Globeville has been a place anybody could afford to live. And I think, as much as this is about flooding, I think it's an iceberg issue, that there's more below the surface than there is above the surface. And below the surface, I think people are concerned that this is going to become another Denver neighborhood where working people can't afford to live anymore. Is it going to become Rhino North or even worse, Boulder South? I think people have a long view on this. The grassroots are being fed by outside groups with fertilizer, so they're spreading. I don't know. I don't know if we're going to see this built in our lifetime. My lifetime's probably going to be about 4 o'clock this afternoon when I have a heart attack, so.